I'm the CEO of the Interfaith Center on Corporate Responsibility, and we're a now 53-year-old coalition of institutional investors. We started out actually in the early 1970s when a group of faith investors began engaging with companies that they were holding about business they were doing in apartheid South Africa, and really pioneered these strategies of shareholder engagement on environmental and social issues. And today, as I mentioned, we're over 300 institutional investors. Our members include asset owners and asset managers. We still have a core of very active religious investors, but also asset owners like labor, pension funds, and foundations and others, as well as asset managers that are focused on responsible investing. And what we do with our members is we help to organize them in strategies to engage with companies, as Stacy was talking about, companies they're holding in their public equity portfolios, and we try and use that shareholder power to move companies towards change. That really takes it starts out with dialogue. So we're in dialogue. Our members are at the table talking to hundreds of companies every year, and when we're not able to move those companies forward with dialogue, our members will file shareholder resolutions, which bring the issue to the attention of other shareholders, board of companies, management, and also serves as a tool to really focus media attention on some of these practices by companies. And the purpose of those resolutions is to bring companies back to the table for dialogue to make commitments, and we can talk about that process a little later. Our members pick our priority areas every 5 years. And so the areas that we focus on, it's a lot: climate and environmental justice. We work on worker rights, and that runs the gamut from living wage to freedom of association to worker health and safety and other topics. We have a program on health equity, and we have an initiative on human rights where we try to push companies to align with their responsibilities to respect human rights in their operations and supply chains under the UN Guiding Principles on Business and Human Rights. We do a lot of work across all of our programs, trying to hold companies accountable on their corporate political spending and their corporate lobbying, so on their corporate political engagement. That's a big area and a long way to go there. And we really, I should say, also a big kind of focus across all of our work is tech accountability, more and more so. We're looking at the impacts of the human rights impacts of the tech sector, but we're also really pushing companies across sectors on their use of technology, including AI. So we've just launched a project on the impact of technology on low-wage workers. So it just gives you a sense of the different, the wide variety of issues that you can engage on if you're doing shareholder engagement. And again, happy to go into more of those topics later. Our members, I think our members are faith-based and values-based investors. So they're investment fiduciaries. At the end of the day, they are obligated to ensure returns for their beneficiaries or for their clients. But our members really believe fundamentally that companies that are looking at their long-term risks and that are engaging with stakeholders to understand the impacts of corporate practices on people, on communities, on the planet are really companies that are setting themselves up for the long term and that are building long-term value. Also, our members, many and most are diversified investors or universal owners, and they're concerned about the impacts of the systemic risks that certain corporate practices create, such as greenhouse gas emissions or income inequality, tax avoidance. Other corporate practices are, on income inequality, we're looking at wages and living wage and corporate externalities that really create systemic risks that impact the people in society, but also impact the portfolios of diversified investors. So we also approach engagements with that lens as well. So ultimately, there's a strong fiduciary case that our members bring to the table for their engagements with companies, but the conversations always start with the impacts of corporate practices on people and planet. And as part of that, what's unique in our community is we engage as investors very closely with stakeholders, with civil society groups, with labor groups, with community-based organizations that represent impacted communities, with and nonprofit groups that have expertise in the field, because we believe fundamentally that we don't want to be investors just talking to companies off in the corner about company value, but rather we think of our engagements as leverage for part of a broader strategy for change. And as part of that, we engage closely with these stakeholder groups and bring those perspectives to the table with companies as investors. And that's really important to our theory of change. Maybe I'll stop there. Happy to get into any of these issues. I guess the last thing I would say is there's a lot of opportunities to follow what Stacy was saying, to get involved with shareholder engagement and really focus companies on kind of these leading edge issues that are coming up, and also some of these existential issues like climate risk and AI that are really threatening businesses, but also society. And it's an opportunity to be in active conversations on a lot of these topics. Some of which lead to change, others of which don't. But obviously, there's real opportunities there.